I'm doing that. Here it is, Ray. Don't move. Don't move.
You don't want to move. Just stay right there. This isn't a comeback story. This is the sound of a woman walking out of chaos while the world watches in disbelief. Teyana Taylor lost more than headlines could capture: marriage, family, love. But she didn't crumble on camera. She didn't beg for sympathy. She went quiet. First came Iman Shumpert, a public love story fans believed in. Then the collapse. Divorce headlines, smiles hiding fractures, whispers of a life falling apart. The internet assumed she'd be fine, because strong women always are, until they aren't. Then came Erin Pierre. Soft glances, red carpets, chemistry that needed no words. Fans thought she found healing, but peace didn't last. Another breakup, another disappearance. No explanations, just silence, heavy and unnerving. And now, without warning, Teyana confirmed a new relationship. No name, no face, no proof. Just one chilling sentence. This time, I'm protecting my peace. That line detonated the internet. Screenshots, luxury trips, reflections in glass. Fans became detectives. But here's the twist. This isn't just about love. This is about power, influence, secrets that, if revealed, could destroy careers. Don't move, just listen. Before the headlines, before the internet had its say, Teyana Taylor was something rare in celebrity culture, a woman in control of her story. Disciplined, private, intentional. Every move calculated, every word weighed. She didn't need chaos to sell her image. She built herself brick by brick, and she protected that construction fiercely. Then came Iman Shumpert. Marriage, family, love. The perfect combination for a public romance that felt real. The kind of love story the media leaned into, fans projected hope onto, and the industry quietly celebrated. For a moment, everything looked stable. Family photos, red carpet appearances, quiet moments shared in public, but never overexposed. A balance few could maintain in the spotlight. But balance is delicate. Distance started small. Subtle absences on social media, missed events, smiles that didn't reach the eyes. It wasn't chaos yet, just a shift in energy that only those paying attention could feel. And then the divorce headlines hit. But by that point, the emotional damage had already been done off camera. Teyana didn't unravel publicly. She didn't weaponize interviews. She didn't flood Instagram or Twitter with rage. She went quiet. Silence became her shield. But in a world addicted to spectacle, silence is rarely neutral. Silence invites speculation. And speculation is a fire that doesn't burn out. It consumes. Fans tried to piece it together. They rewatched old interviews. They dissected smiles, body language, even the angles of family photos. Every absence became proof. Every cryptic post a clue. And still, Teyana Taylor remained invisible, refusing to confirm or deny a single theory. That restraint, while protective, was read by many as guilt, as manipulation, as something darker. Then came Erin Pierre, a softer chapter, glances caught on red carpets, smiles that spoke volumes without a word. People assumed it was healing, peace, maybe even closure. Fans wanted to believe that Teyana had found happiness again, but peace, when rushed, is fragile. Another breakup followed, equally quiet. No drama, no announcements, just absence. And once again, the internet filled in the blanks. Because when a public figure disappears, the audience doesn't ask why. They decide. The pattern became clear. Teyana didn't respond to pressure. She didn't explain herself. She withdrew. And with each withdrawal, the whispers grew. Why was she silent? Who was she seeing now? What was happening behind the closed doors that the public wasn't allowed to enter? Then came the statement that changed everything. A new relationship, confirmed on her terms, with no name, no face, no photos, only a single line. This time, I'm protecting my peace. And the internet exploded. Screenshots of luxury jets, glimpses of expensive hotels, reflections of watches in glass. Observers became detectives, hunting for clues. But nothing concrete emerged. And that's when the narrative took a dangerous turn. People started saying she had upgraded, that she only dated rich men, that her love wasn't about connection, it was about status. The same Teyana Taylor, who poured her heart into her marriage to Amon Shumpert, who risked love again with Aaron Pierre, was now framed as calculating. Silence became suspicious. Calm became cold. And still, she didn't respond. But here's the part nobody understood. This wasn't about clout. This wasn't about attention. The secrecy wasn't a stunt. It was protection. Protection not just of her heart, but of something far larger. Something that, if revealed too soon, could have consequences for more than just her personal life. And that's what made this story so unsettling. Every whisper, every theory, every accusation bounced off walls that weren't meant to be breached. Anonymous sources hinted that this man wasn't in the entertainment world at all. Others suggested he was powerful enough that visibility could threaten not only careers, but reputations and partnerships built in shadows. And through all of this, Teyana Taylor remained centered, measured, detached, not defensive, not performative, just fully in control of her presence. For people conditioned to expect emotional collapse, it was unnerving. Because women who don't break on cue disrupt the narrative. They remove the audience's ability to consume their pain on demand. And the backlash reflected that discomfort. Comment sections became mock trials. Influencers monetized speculation. Podcasts aired hours of analysis based on sources that never spoke publicly. Old chapters of her life, the marriage, the rebounds, were reinterpreted. Every smile with Amon Shumpert was examined for hidden meaning. Every glance with Aaron Pierre was dissected as calculated. Love was reframed as strategy. Pain was treated as proof of guilt. But here's the contradiction. If the relationship was about clout or status, secrecy made no sense. If it was about attention, anonymity was counterproductive. The truth was, the attention was precisely what Teyana Taylor was avoiding. And in doing so, she exposed something far more dangerous than any rumor: the limits of public entitlement. Because the more aggressively speculation pressed, the more obvious one thing became. She wasn't hiding something scandalous. She was shielding something valuable. And the people who tried to chase the story? They weren't chasing love. They were chasing access. Meanwhile, the pattern remained. Withdrawal after heartbreak, calm under attack, silence in the face of accusation. Every move was deliberate, every absence intentional. And slowly, a shift occurred. Industry insiders started to whisper. Accounts that had once speculated aggressively went silent. Influencers pivoted quietly. Even the loudest voices paused. Why? Because the closer you get to the truth, the more resistance you meet. And resistance implies power. Boundaries enforced by someone, or something, stronger than the court of public opinion. Teyana Taylor had already paid for her visibility. She had already offered her vulnerability, her pain, and her joy to the public. And now, by refusing to bleed for an audience that had decided how to judge her, she was reclaiming her story, even as the world tried to rewrite it. So don't move. Watch closely. Every silence, every boundary, every unseen step is a statement. A warning that some stories don't belong to the audience. Some truths are not meant for headlines. And the moment when they finally emerge, when the walls of secrecy crack, the impact won't come from gossip. It will come from power, influence, consequences far beyond likes, shares, and clicks. Don't blink. By now, the story of Teyana Taylor had outgrown headlines. It wasn't just about a breakup or a rebound anymore. The internet had transformed from spectator to prosecutor, dissecting every movement, every glance, every post. But for Teyana, this wasn't chaos, it was control. Think about it. How many times had the public seen her at her lowest? Marriage crumbling with Amon Shumpert, heartbreak with Aaron Pierre, and yet she didn't break. No public meltdowns. No interviews weaponized for clicks. She simply withdrew, letting silence speak where words could only betray. And in celebrity culture, that silence became combustible. When she confirmed the new relationship with one line, "This time, I'm protecting my peace," it wasn't an invitation. It was a boundary, a firewall. And the reactions were instantaneous. Social media exploded. Luxury trips were tracked. Watches reflected in glass became evidence. Fans tried to read between the lines. Influencers hyped theories. But still, nothing concrete emerged. No name, no face, no timeline. And that's when the story shifted from curiosity to fear. People close to the situation began whispering, "This man isn't just rich, he's powerful," connected in ways that don't intersect with red carpets, tabloids, or influencer content. A world exists behind screens where names aren't searchable, where influence operates offline, where discretion is enforced by leverage, not contracts. And in that world, exposure isn't inconvenient. It's dangerous. So the audience assumed the narrative. Teyana had upgraded, chasing wealth and status. They reinterpreted her history. Her marriage with Amon Shumpert, once seen as love, was recast as strategic alignment. Her time with Aaron Pierre, once perceived as healing, became a rehearsal for something bigger. Every move, every choice, scrutinized under the assumption that love was secondary to elevation. But here's the truth. That assumption was wrong. Teyana Taylor didn't chase anything. She protected something. And protection in her world isn't flashy. It's invisible, deliberate, untraceable. It's the kind of restraint learned only through years of being dissected, analyzed, and judged by strangers. Every withdrawal, every silence, every absence is a lesson in control the internet refuses to acknowledge. And the internet doesn't forgive silence. Not from women. Not from people who have already paid the price for visibility. Not from someone who refuses to perform heartbreak on cue. So speculation intensified. Anonymous accounts suggested theories. Perhaps he wasn't in entertainment at all. Perhaps he was connected to circles where secrecy is enforced, where exposure could destroy more than personal relationships. It could topple careers, break partnerships, and rewrite reputations. And still, Teyana Taylor didn't respond. The calm, measured, almost detached demeanor unsettled everyone watching. Not because it was cold, but because it was deliberate. Because in a culture built on reaction, refusal to react is a threat. The systems designed to consume her pain, to monetize her mistakes, suddenly encountered a woman unwilling to be consumed. The narrative turned again. This time, it wasn't about who she was dating. It was about why she was protecting it. Why the man's identity remained hidden. Why nobody could leak photos, tips, or sightings. In a world where secrets survive minutes, this one survived months. That alone spoke volumes. And it wasn't just silence. It was containment. Someone, whether the man himself, her team, or both, was enforcing rules. Leaks didn't stick. Sources went quiet. Accounts vanished overnight. Influencers stopped posting. And when the usual channels of gossip failed, a pattern emerged. Power doesn't just buy luxury, it buys invisibility. Meanwhile, Teyana Taylor maintained control. Her appearances were sharp, intentional, measured. She spoke of peace without performing happiness. She set boundaries without explanation. She allowed her silence to do the talking, and that silence disrupted expectations. People conditioned to see emotion as entertainment were left unsettled. Calm was now a weapon. And the commentary, of course, intensified. Every move framed as manipulation, every word read as arrogance, every decision treated as proof of deception. But none of it stuck. There were no public mistakes, no contradictions to exploit, no cracks in the story, only restraint, only calculated presence, only silence. Then the timeline mattered. Observers noticed how Teyana consistently withdrew after emotional ruptures, how she prioritized absence over explanation, how rarely she defended herself, even as the narrative tilted against her. Patterns emerged. Not of manipulation, but of survival. Not of performance, but of strategy. And that's when a new term appeared in conversations behind the scenes. Protected. Not protected by PR. Protected by structure. Boundaries enforced by leverage. Influence so quiet it doesn't need visibility. Consequences so real that exposure is not an option. That's why the story took a dangerous turn. The quieter it stayed, the more speculation grew. But the louder speculation became, the more obvious one thing got. This wasn't about fame or money. It was about proximity, about circles that don't intersect with red carpets, Instagram posts, or gossip blogs, about access that is carefully managed, controlled, and hidden. And yet, the public still demanded transparency. They wanted access to something Teyana Taylor had decided wasn't theirs to consume. Every demand became punishment. Every accusation became a weapon. Every curiosity became a trial. Marriage reduced to strategy. Love reframed as ambition. Healing treated as rehearsal. Privacy recast as calculation. But the irony was brutal. The audience didn't want truth. They wanted access. And access, in her case, was denied. The pattern grew undeniable. When she confirmed the new relationship, the focus didn't land on happiness. It landed on speculation. When she didn't provide proof, the response wasn't empathy. It was obsession. And when nothing leaked, the story metastasized beyond her control. But she didn't react. Teyana Taylor remained steady, and in that steadiness, she exposed something even more unsettling than the gossip itself: the limits of entitlement. People expected a reaction, a statement, photos, drama. But Teyana Taylor didn't perform. She refused to feed the machine, and by refusing, she destabilized it. She didn't just survive scrutiny, she neutralized it. And that's when industry insiders took note. Accounts went quiet. Threads disappeared mid-argument. Influencers pivoted to safer topics. Publicists stopped returning calls. The tone shifted from excitement to caution. Not fear of scandal, but fear of power. Because this wasn't about dating. It wasn't about love. It was about influence, consequence, access, and boundaries enforced by someone, or something, that didn't need visibility to command respect. And as she maintained composure, the story itself began to fracture. The audience, conditioned to consume vulnerability, grew frustrated. They couldn't process a woman who refused to perform. They couldn't accept that peace could be prioritized over spectacle. And in their frustration, they only revealed themselves. How easily entitlement replaces empathy, how quickly curiosity becomes persecution. And that, in the end, is the danger of Teyana Taylor's silence. It's not empty. It's not weakness. It's control. A control that disrupts systems built on spectacle, reaction, and access. A control that forces anyone trying to chase a story to realize some truths aren't meant to be broadcast. Some boundaries aren't negotiable. And some women will not bend to satisfy an audience that already judged them. Teyana Taylor didn't just reclaim her story. She reshaped the rules. She rewrote expectations. And while the public waited for a reveal, she stayed centered, calm, measured, protected. Because silence isn't absence, it's a weapon. And in the wrong hands, exposure is dangerous. Don't look away. By now, the story of Teyana Taylor had grown beyond gossip. It wasn't just a romance. It wasn't just heartbreak. It was a lesson in control, power, and boundaries in a world that expects women, especially women in the spotlight, to bleed on command. Every glance, every absence, every silence had been interpreted, dissected, weaponized. And still, she didn't react. Think back to the beginning. Iman Shumpert, marriage, family, a love story fans believed in. Then the collapse, the divorce headlines, the quiet heartbreak behind closed doors. Then Aaron Pierre, soft smiles, stolen glances, red carpets that whispered peace. And now, a new relationship, confirmed with a single sentence. This time, I'm protecting my peace. No name, no photos, no proof, just boundaries. And the internet went into overdrive. Surveillance became obsession. Screenshots of luxury locations, reflections in glass, alleged sightings, every clue dissected, every detail amplified. And the narrative quickly mutated. Teyana upgraded. Her choices were strategic. Her love calculated. Her history with Amon Shumpert was reframed as a strategic alliance, and her time with Aaron Pierre as rehearsal. Every chapter in her life reduced to speculation about status and wealth. But here's the truth the public didn't see. This wasn't about clout. This wasn't about attention. This wasn't about status. This was protection. The man in question wasn't a celebrity. He wasn't in entertainment. His world existed offline, where power doesn't need red carpets or Instagram tags to be enforced. Exposure wouldn't be inconvenient. It would be disruptive, far beyond social media outrage. Careers, partnerships, reputations. Everything could shift if the wrong name surfaced. And the public, as usual, had no idea. That's what made the silence so terrifying. It wasn't empty. It wasn't weakness. It was discipline. Every withdrawal, every absence, every refusal to explain, calculated. Every cryptic caption, every private moment, a wall erected not just around her privacy, but around something much larger than love. And in that silence, the internet tried to write its own narrative. Comment sections turned into mock trials. Influencers monetized speculation. Podcasts dissected sources that never existed. Old chapters of her life were dragged back into the spotlight and reframed. Every smile with Amon Shumpert, every glance with Aaron Pierre, analyzed for hidden motives. Her strength became guilt. Her calm became coldness. Her privacy became manipulation. But none of it stuck. Because there were no contradictions, no mistakes to exploit, no cracks in her story. Only Teyana Taylor, steady and unshakable. Then came the realization. The story wasn't about her anymore. It was about who controlled access, who decided which truths could be seen and which remained hidden. Because the closer people got, the more resistance they met. Accounts went silent. Influencers pivoted. Publicists paused. Even the most aggressive gossip sources stopped posting. Fear had entered the ecosystem. And the source wasn't scandal, it was power. And still, Teyana Taylor maintained composure. Her public appearances were deliberate, sharp, measured. She spoke about peace without performing joy. She didn't seek validation. She didn't feed the machine. Every silence, every boundary, every absence was a statement. This story is not yours. And here's what makes it dangerous. When the truth eventually surfaces, and it won't land as gossip. It won't satisfy curiosity. It won't be a story about a celebrity dating another. It will be repercussions, reshaping assumptions, forcing reconsideration of everything said, everything speculated, everything assumed. Because Teyana Taylor didn't lose control of her story. She reclaimed it, at the cost of being misunderstood, at the cost of accusations, at the cost of public comfort. Control doesn't always look loud. Sometimes it looks like restraint under fire. Sometimes it looks like refusing to feed the spectacle. And in doing so, she exposed something far more unsettling than a secret relationship: the limits of entitlement. The internet wanted answers. She offered none. It wanted proof. She gave boundaries. It wanted access. She enforced privacy. And in that enforcement, she disrupted systems built on reaction, expectation, and consumption. The audience wasn't just denied information, they were denied power. And that's why the story escalated beyond gossip. It wasn't about love anymore. It was about proximity, influence, and consequence. Because the longer her peace remained protected, the more dangerous speculation became. And when it finally broke, it wouldn't just shock fans, it would reverberate across the industry. People had assumed silence meant weakness, that calm meant indifference, that privacy meant guilt. And yet, the opposite was true. Silence was strategy. Calm was control. Privacy was power. And Teyana Taylor had learned that over the years, through heartbreak, through scrutiny, through the relentless eye of the public. And the final lesson? Boundaries, when respected, carry consequences. Respect, when withheld, is weaponized. The moment someone decides their life is no longer communal property, the world reacts violently. The internet doesn't forgive autonomy, it punishes it. But in refusing to collapse, in refusing to explain, in refusing to perform, Teyana Taylor reminded everyone watching of something fundamental. Some stories aren't yours to consume. Some truths aren't yours to judge. And some women will not bend to satisfy an audience that has already decided their verdict. The pattern is clear. First, Iman Shumpert. Then, Aaron Pierre. Now, this new relationship. Withdrawals after heartbreak. Calm under attack. Silence in the face of accusation. Each chapter reinforces the same truth. Teyana Taylor is in control. She decides what to show. She decides what to protect. She decides what stays hidden. And in celebrity culture, that refusal is dangerous. Not because it threatens gossip, but because it threatens power. Access, influence, control. Systems built on visibility crumble when a key player refuses to be seen. So don't look away. Watch closely. Every absence, every cryptic post, every silent statement is a move in a game most people don't understand. And when the walls of secrecy finally crack, the impact won't come from a name. It will come from the realization that Teyana Taylor has always been the one in control, and that some truths, no matter how explosive, cannot be weaponized against her. This isn't a story about romance. This isn't about gossip. This is about survival, power, and boundaries in a culture addicted to spectacle. And Teyana Taylor, through silence, through restraint, through discipline, has taught a lesson the internet still struggles to accept. Control doesn't need an audience. Influence doesn't need validation. And peace, above all, doesn't require permission. What you've just witnessed isn't just a story about a relationship. It's a lesson in control, boundaries, and power in a world obsessed with access. Teyana Taylor didn't just survive heartbreak with Iman Shumpert. She didn't just navigate the highs and lows with Aaron Pierre. She reclaimed her narrative, proving that silence, restraint, and discipline are stronger than gossip, speculation, and entitlement. And now, the question isn't who she's dating. The question is, who dares challenge someone who refuses to perform for the crowd? Who profits from trying to dissect lives that aren't theirs? Because in the world of celebrity, access is currency, and Teyana Taylor has just shown that some things are priceless, untouchable, and protected. So as you scroll, as you comment, as you speculate, remember this. Some stories don't belong to the public. Some truths aren't yours to consume. And the most powerful moves happen quietly, under the radar, away from the spotlight. Stay alert, watch closely. Pay attention not just to the story, but to the silence, the boundaries, and the lessons that aren't being explained. Because the moment the full truth surfaces, it won't be gossip, it will be a reckoning, and you'll want to be ready for it.